Hello.
Hey, how are you? Yeah, it's consistent with what we're seeing everywhere, which is that the rates of reported mental health struggles in youth are increasing. And whether we're measuring depressive symptoms or we're measuring anxiety or stress, or like we're all familiar with those of us in paradise, trauma, traumatic stress, that those are all creeping up for youth. And the reason I think depression becomes centered is because it's so highly correlated with the risk of suicide.
Exactly.
Hmm. Yeah, California Healthy Kids Survey. Yeah, they do it every other year. Yeah. Mhm.
Just gave me the chills.
Mhm. And we know that that's low. So whenever you try to capture data from youth around, it's all self-report, and you have to just factor in, you're, yeah, dude. Yep. And so you inflate it automatically and say, okay, it's 40%, but really that's not probably accurate. Mm. Yeah, and I think you brought up just a really good point, which is like you can't see it, right? You can't see it. The kid breaks a leg or um, gets an injury or gets lymphoma or cancer. You can see it. They lose their hair, they have a cast. When you're struggling internally with something, nobody sees it. And because feelings are universal among human beings, it's easy for us to pass it off. And it's even easier for adults to pass it off in kids. So, well, you're just being a teenager. It's like, well, no, if 40% of kids are considering suicide, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go way out on a limb, say it's a little more than just being a teenager. Intergenerational trauma. Nailed it, buddy. Yep.
I feel like ninth grade, you are just becoming, learning like what you want to be, and social media nowadays, you're so easy to, what do I want to say? So easy to compare yourself to others. And I feel like you're constantly looking at how you should be, you can actually be. And I feel like you're at that age, you just, you don't know what to do. I feel like social media plays such a big part in just comparing yourself and putting you at such a bad mental state that it's not even, I feel like that makes you 10 times worse.
Yep. And 12th grade is like that. Yeah. And
Uh,
same way, you're like, in the adult system, and I know that because I'm ancient, we look at it and we go, like, okay, you're 18, so you could go fight in a war, and we don't have to worry as much about you. But we know this isn't, we don't need to debate it. In our field, it's like when you have a major life transition, you have some vulnerability around developing some difficulty. And that doesn't have anything to do with not being good at planning or not being strong enough or not being whatever reasons we come up with. It's a fact of life. When we go through a major transition, we are at greater risk of that. And so that's another age at which we as the adult system tend to say, oh, they're fine. But we tend to lose a lot of kids, and a lot of kids will suffer because they feel that expectation and then they don't say anything. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you bring up the point. I mean, we've been working in your town for a long time, and I actually lived in Butte Creek Canyon, and I was out of my house for 5 months. I got two little kids, and when you have what we call additive trauma, so the idea that you have one thing happen, and this wasn't just a little thing, this was like people were afraid they were either going to die, they had the grief and loss from losing everything, losing their community, and you pile on that a friggin' global pandemic and all of the craziness in our society. And most kids will report just feeling despondent. They're like, I just can't control anything in my life. Like everything happens to me. And that's a really dangerous place to be as an adolescent because it sucks. Mm, mm, mhm, mhm,
Mhm. Yes.
mm, mm. Dude, that is so important for us to understand as the ancient ones who think they know everything, because like we don't get it. Like I'm pretty in tune with what's happening, and now I've realized I have no, it's passed me by. And we tend to judge these virtual spaces that all kids, including my own, have. We said, well, that's not really help. But what I'm hearing, and I hear it again and again, I just heard it from you again, is that's not true. That it's a safe place. It's a place that you can be who you are without being judged. And I think we as adults, we got to understand that those places exist, and they aren't going to always be sitting in front of some dude with like waffle stompers and a dream catcher on his wall, right? Like it's going to look different.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. See, I'm across the country from you guys, so I'm in a completely different environment. I How I was in high school, I was very sick. I had a lot of health problems. I had a heart problem, liver damage, all this stuff, and I was
Mm,
still trying to maintain school on all of that. And I think the lack of help from the teachers and understanding didn't help my case. So I found my safe space with people that I connected with online that didn't care who I was or what was going on with me. They were there for me no matter what. And senior year, I got told I would never amount to anything by my high school guidance counselor
mm,
because I missed school and hospital, and it wasn't something I could control. And I think as a teacher or someone in that profession, you need to do a little better at helping. So I completely disassociated myself with the school and did school online. And I met friends online because it wasn't easy with not going to an actual school. A bunch of people on Twitch, and I've kind of helped people who are in similar situations. I feel like a big sister or just a somebody anybody can go to because I've experienced it and I know how it goes.
mm. See,
So
that's
I don't know.
we need to know that. This is like a campaign to educate adults. I think the one question that I would ask both of you is, let's say you're in one of those rooms and somebody mentions having suicidal thoughts. Do you think most people there know where to connect that kid to? Do you think they feel comfortable letting an adult know, or is there sort of a code that we don't understand around like we handle stuff internally? Um,
Exactly. I think that's the important thing. Once you make it known that you have somebody here, like you have a couple or a bunch of people here that care about you, will listen to anything that's going on and will love you and just give you that safe space that you need or that comfort that you need in that moment, it goes far. I mean, I've had people reach out after stream and be like, "Thank you." Like, I don't know what I would have done, and it hurts my heart because it's like I'm so sorry that you have to feel this way, and I wish there was something more that I could do, but I'm just over screen. Always make sure like please go get more help if you need it, but I always am here. I'm not a professional, but I'll do what I can to make sure that you live another day.
Is it possible for us to like replicate those kind of spaces in schools or in the community? Because it's like, it's so normal for teens to go to one another that they should be doing that, right? There's a way in which that is absolutely developmentally, absolutely what should be happening. But I also think, and I say, why is it that we cannot, as the adult system, parents, teachers, whomever, what are we missing that we can't provide that kind of space? Because isn't that the space that everybody deserves, regardless if they're online or they're in math or they're somewhere? It's like, you know. Mm. Mm. Yeah. Anonymity, yeah, but I like your version way better. Hmm. Hmm. There's not as much stigma, right? That's what you're saying. There's just not the stigma there. It's amazing. I just think we need to understand it, and this is super helpful to me. But yeah,
Yeah.
mm, that's 100% true. But what I'm hearing you say is this is the best way to save lives, and it's the best way to get kids help. Like if we just as adults said, "Hey, you got a Twitch stream, put these two numbers on your Twitch stream." It's like the text line for crisis stuff. Yeah, it's like
Have that
so sick. That is so
100%.
great. That's so great. Yeah. Mm. It's a community.
Uh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. And that's what treats it. Doesn't, sometimes you need more than a community to treat when you're struggling with mental health, but it's a necessity. Mm. Hmm. I'm about to learn something. Let's do it. Correct. Hmm. That's true. And the other the other thing is, like, you don't therapy isn't a one size fits all, right? Like, so not everybody works. And it's like it's hard in a rural community where we don't have a lot of therapy. We just don't have a lot compared to the need. And then you have even fewer who are comfortable talking to kids, because working with a child or a teen is is a different job than working with an adult who's coming in for therapy. I've done both, and they're not even similar. And I hate working with adults, by the way. It's like, but it is very different work. So even it's frustrating to families and kids too, because when they do want help, sometimes it's like, I've called 90 people and all of them are booked, or one charges $9 million and my insurance doesn't cover it. And we look at this as like, this is insane. This is a right. This should be something that is there for anybody. I mean, I agree with you, by the way.
I agree.
Mm. That's absolutely right. And dude, it's like what we've been arguing, who have been doing this work for a long time, is like, schools should have somebody on site that is able to sit down and work with the kid. Like, that we focus on all these other things at school, and they typically have counselors who are more academic, but there is thankfully a shift in that we're starting to see the value, where schools put a value on. We need somebody at our site who can meet with kids who are in crisis, who can sit and talk to kids weekly, because the availability is the key. I might be totally down with talking to somebody one day, And the next day from then on, I'm just like, you know what, forget it. I don't even want to do it, because that stigma is so strong that like you'll have these moments when you're like, yes, I need to do it and I want to do it. And then it'll disappear because you're depressed or you just don't feel understood. So I think it's imperative that the places kids are most often, we have to have it there. It has to be right there for them.
Mm.
Mm. Mm. Ew. She's dope. Love her. Love her. Yeah, it's legit, dude. If I had had that when I was a kid, I would not look like I do and have tattoos covering me. Like I grew up in the 90s. You just didn't, none of this shit was talked about. None of it. Not one piece of it. You didn't mention how you're doing. If something bad was happening to you, you weren't going to talk about it because nobody was going to care. So you just locked it in. Correct. Yes. Yes. 100%. 100% right. And I think that has shifted with your generation. But what hasn't followed that shift is actual services. And my guess is Sarah talked to you. She didn't use some magic therapy tricks, because guess what? There aren't any. The magic therapy trick is talk to them like an effing human being. Don't talk to them like they're a broken little baby child. Exactly. Amen. Exactly. And the truth is, and I've been talking about this for 20 years because I scream about trauma, as Jory knows, all the time. A lot of what we're seeing isn't abnormal. So if you have experienced somebody doing something awful to you or witnessed domestic violence when you're a kid and you're struggling, your brain isn't abnormal. The situation you were in was abnormal. Your brain and body are doing what they're supposed to do. It feels terrible and it's not good long term, but we tend to confuse I'm trying to survive this situation, which I didn't ask for, as there's something wrong with me. There isn't anything wrong with me. When I was a kid, I was having awful stuff happen. I wasn't crazy. I was reacting the way you react when you have crazy shit happen to you. And there's a huge difference between those things. Mm. Yes, I agree. Yep. This is super helpful. I know that I agreed to come on a podcast and talk about what I know, but I have to tell you both, I'm learning way more than I'm probably giving. This is so helpful.
Yes, of course. Of course.
I'm down with whatever you need. It's the least that adults can do is to listen. You know, really, seriously. Like we did these focus groups with teens around the county and asked about like what are we doing wrong around suicide prevention and mental health, and they're basically were like everything. Like when we come talk to you about this, you're a bunch of weirdos. You don't know what to say. You make it about you, and so. Yeah, man, I could be your adult representative and just be like, here's what the adult system thinks, as stupid as it is or as brilliant as it is. And then I get to learn what is actually happening with kids and teens and young adults.
Yeah.
Mm. Yep. It's so brilliant. Yep. Yep. It's very true. Love it. I'm super honored that you guys are both doing this, and I'm very curious about your Twitch spaces. If you want to send me those, if I could ever just come in and chill for a little bit and just experience it.
Oh, of course.
I won't embarrass anybody. I won't make like dad jokes. I'm like, hey folks.
Oh, you can say anything.
But
It's not just kids. Also, I want to mention it's not just kids. It varies in ages. We have people 30 and up, and like it ranges.
Hey, 50's not that old. 50's not that old. I am getting so close.
Yes.
That's awesome. I'm 96, so it should work great. Awesome. Thank you. It's great to meet you both.
So nice to meet you.
Absolutely. You just let me know. I'll be there. Nice to meet you, Jay. Hang in there. Where are you back east? Are you way back east?
I'm in Pennsylvania.